Coming up next on The V, our guest is Becky Gerritson, Tea Party leader here from Alabama. The Attorney General recuses himself from two very important cases, and down in South Alabama, they're throwing the book at each other as two candidates seek to win the congressional race. This time they're throwing the Bible. All next, right here on The V. Welcome to The V. We're here today at the beautiful Alabama Center for Commerce. My name is Bill Britt. I'm your host. As always, I'm joined today by the V team. On my right is Claire Austin. Claire, nice to have you here.
Good morning, Bill. Great to be here this Sunday morning with all my colleagues again.
Good to have you. Byrne Coleman to Claire's right. Byrne, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Bill.
And on the left, Sherlana Spencer. Great to have you here, Sherlana.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
The V team's assembled to look at the issues of the day. One is that recently the Attorney General, Luther Strange, recused himself from the Alabama State University investigation. We'll get into a little bit about what that investigation was about. But a few months ago, the AG, he recused himself from an investigation in Lee County that we believe has to do with Speaker Mike Hubbard. First off, we'll start with the ASU investigation. Sherlana, you've been taking a big look at what's going on over there. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think it was necessary. The Attorney General received a contract with ASU for a substantial amount of money. The contract was not paid out until after the Attorney General took office. And in fact, the ASU contract with Attorney General Strange was made part of the allegations in the recent lawsuit that ASU filed in Los Angeles against the company that was hired by the governor to perform the forensic investigation into it.
What's the deal with filing a lawsuit against the company that did the audit? I mean, what's that all about?
Well, and I don't think anyone knows. I think it kind of caught everybody by surprise, frankly. It certainly caught me by surprise as an attorney. It's not something I would do, is go poke in the hornet's nest of the group that's leading the audit against you, especially an audit that you sort of obstructed every step of the way. I don't know if it's going to succeed. Something interesting about it, I did a little background research on the lawsuit, and I looked up the judge they drew. I started thinking, why on earth are they in California? And I thought, well, they're probably trying to get out of being around the Alabama Supreme Court, the Alabama appellate courts, which are dominated by Republicans. Well, the judge they drew over in Los Angeles hates civil rights attorneys, apparently. It looks like that on paper. Seems to really have a hard time with sort of the race hustling allegations and lawsuits and things. And if you read the text of this lawsuit, that's what it looks like it is. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over there.
Yeah, and I think, with them going after the auditing firm versus, the governor's office, because, in reality, as we all saw, and we talked about this a little bit last week as well, it was stamped as just an update of information, and it was given to the governor's office. It was not released by the auditing firm.
Well, this is a shoot the messenger type of scenario, isn't it?
That's correct.
Well, one of the concerns that ASU has, and I think it's a legitimate one, was that in the immediate wake of the release of this report, their bond rating was downgraded. And so that's certainly one of the allegations that they've included in their complaint that they filed.
So where we're at right now, there's been an investigation of sorts from the governor into Alabama State University. Alabama State has said, Governor, go beep yourself. And then they've sued the company that did the audit at the request of the governor. Is that where we're at?
That's where we are. But, they're trying to muddy the waters about reality of what really has taken place and the fact that you've had board members and board members' children that have been getting contracts, and they're trying to brush it over by saying, well, 99.9% of all the money we use is allocated fine, but it's just that $2.5 million that's not always has not been taken and done and handled properly. Okay, so and then the other thing, the hidden agenda out there, as you had mentioned earlier, is that as the auditing firm has been trying to do this, the lawyers that Alabama State University has hired have been withholding information to the auditing firm. So I think people need to realize that as well.
Well, that's at least the allegation that has been made by the other side. We have yet to hear ASU's side of it, which, you know, the likelihood is that they have produced a number of documents. So are we talking about 1 million documents that were produced and 10 that were withheld? Or are we talking about 10 that were produced and 1 million that were withheld? I think we'll find out in the lawsuit.
We're going to have to move on. One other case that the Attorney General recused himself from was the one down in Lee County that we believe is looking into perhaps wrongdoings by the Speaker of the House, Mike Hubbard. We know that the AG recused himself. He said, I recused myself from that matter, but the reporter that was covering that somehow forgot to ask him a follow-up question. Mr. Attorney General, why have you recused yourself?
And I think the answer to that is most likely found in Attorney General Strange's own campaign reports that are filed with the Secretary of State. In May of 2010, during his race for the Attorney General, he accepted $20,000 in campaign cash from Mike Hubbard's PAC, Net PAC, and then on the very next day, he shows an expenditure of $20,000 to Network Creative Media, which is one of Mike Hubbard's business interests.
And that's one of the things the AG's been looking into, right?
Well, those are the rumors. Nobody knows what the AG is looking
right,
into.
rumors,
and that's part of the problem here is we're just kind of speculating in the dark. We don't know why, because no one's asked. Attorney General Strange has recused himself in the Lee County investigation. Typically, there's two reasons an attorney would recuse himself, or an attorney general would recuse himself. It's that you're involved in it, which I don't know if that's the case or not, or that you're just close to the people who are. And being an elected official in Alabama, being in around the Bob Riley circle of influence for all those years, General Strange may be friends with some of the people involved and may not want to be prosecuted. I don't know.
Well, I think if you go back to the Alabama State University and then what's going on in Lee County, in both situations that you had mentioned, Luther had a contract, our Attorney General had a contract with Alabama State to do work for them. So therefore he was involved. He really needed to recuse himself. You go back to what they're looking at in Lee County, and simply because he was running for election, he had received monies from Mike Hubbard's PAC, and then the next day it was transmitted out into one of his firms. Those are both conflicts of interest. So I think he's personally, as the top lawyer for the state of Alabama, I feel like he's had to recuse himself because there'd be a conflict of interest. He probably couldn't be objective.
No doubt. I wish he'd come on the show and tell us. General Strange, come see us. We want to find out what's going on. Listen, we're going to have to wrap this up real quick. These are some interesting topics. We'll take a good look at them later on. You're watching The V. Right now we'll be back with Becky Gerritson, Tea Party leader from Wetumpka.
The odds of becoming a successful NASCAR driver, 1 in 125 billion. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 88. I'm Jamie McMurray. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Here's what customers are saying about WeatherGuard Lifetime Metal Roofing.
Kind of makes the rest of the house stand out and pop in the front, and it's low maintenance to me.
I was extremely impressed with the facility that they have to display their product.
Hello, I'm Robert Wells, president of WeatherGuard. We are a family-owned business and we will back our lifetime warranty for generations to come.
Come by our showroom on Alton Road in Birmingham. WeatherGuard Lifetime Metal Roofing, 533-7322.
Hey, Mom. I got the job.
You've got the job. Welcome aboard.
I've got a job to do today.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Donate to Goodwill. Help provide job training in your community.
I make sure to get your kids to school and home safe every day. I am AEA.
I make sure your child receives a healthy meal each day. I am AEA.
Thank you, AEA, for protecting our public schools and our futures. We are AEA.
Welcome back to The V. Our guest today is Becky Gerritson, one of the Tea Party leaders here in Alabama. Welcome, Becky.
Thank you for having me, Bill.
It's great to have you here. You've been busy, haven't
I
you?
have.
In June, you testified before the United States Congress after the IRS targeted the Wetumpka Tea Party that you founded, and you gave a very impassioned speech that went viral on the internet and really all over the country and maybe all over the world. It was quite a speech. Thank you for giving it.
Thank you.
One of the things you said in that speech is, I'm a born-free American woman. My government has forgotten its place. How has the government forgotten its place?
Well, I think one of the reasons the Tea Party was started was because of the feeling that government had forgotten its place. We have gotten away from the Constitution. We've gotten away from the rule of law. We have seen the growth of government just become massive, that no longer are our representatives representing the people. They are representing special interest groups. And these big government agencies, whether it's the EPA or the IRS, they have overstepped their bounds as well and pretty much just taking over our lives. And government has got to shrink.
The Tea Party just sprang up out of this sort of organic need that people had, because neither the Democratic Party nor the Republican Party was addressing the needs of what I would say average Americans. And that seems to be where it came from. Could you tell us more how you were motivated to do this?
Sure. I think what most people remember the angst in 2008 at the end of President Bush's last term. The spending was out of control. Government seemed more out of control than ever. And that sign of hope and change really sounded good to most people. The bailouts happened in September of 2008. Not only did American taxpayers bail out American banks to the tune of $44 billion, but $62 billion went to foreign banks. And I think this was really alarming for many Americans. And then in February, we had the stimulus bill that was passed. And Rick Santelli gave a rant on the Chicago Exchange, basically ranting about, do you want to be bailing out your neighbors when they've taken a mortgage that was too big? And he planted a seed in the hearts of Americans. And tea parties started happening all across the nation after that. And T stands for taxed enough already.
Well, we've seen a lot of things coming out of the Tea Party. We've also seen the Tea Party, what I might say is mischaracterized as a all-white, all-male, all angry, all the time kind of group. I've never seen you angry, and obviously you're not a male. You are white, but how has that characterization come along, and what are you doing to dispel it?
It is a horrible characterization, and it is not one of truth. There's no facts-based, this is just the ploy to demonize us. And one thing I want everyone to realize is that government's worst fear is that the American people unite, because we will unite against them and their oppression over us. So it's important for them to divide us from rich and poor, black and white, to divide us in every way they can. And rather than attacking the ideas that we have of smaller government, of respecting the Constitution, they don't talk about those. They go right to racism because they know our arguments are good. So they have to call us racist and try to demonize us in the media. And unfortunately, they've done a wonderful job. And many people who've never been to a Tea Party meeting before or really know much about it just automatically think we're a bunch of haters and racists, when really we love the Constitution, we love this country with our hearts, and we're just trying to get government to back off a little bit.
Well, I think most people would agree that government is not the solution, it's the problem, especially here in Alabama. During session, you are always at the State House. I see you talking to legislators. You and your group are very, very active. What are some of the things that you're going to be working on this next session?
Well, as a matter of fact, we're getting ready to have a statewide grassroots leaders meeting, which we have about every 3 months. We're going to be meeting in the beginning of November to discuss our top 5 issues. So I don't know what all of them are going to be yet, but I do know that Common Core has been a huge battle for us, and that is basically the federal takeover of education in Alabama, but all across the nation as well. So we've been fighting that, but Medicaid expansion is going to be a hot topic, and so we need to know how we're going to combat that and maybe have legislation ready to go that will help help us financially without having to expand Medicaid.
Well, I know the governor has said he is not going to expand it, but there's a great deal of pressure coming from all different directions that say expand Medicaid, let's take the federal dollars, and I know a lot of our Republicans, politicians say there's a lot of taint on federal dollars, but a lot of times they mean there tain't enough of it. So, so we'll see if their words and their deeds line up. So far, the governor's stood pat. Have you?
He has, and I'm proud that we have fought against him. One thing about the Tea Party, we don't just beat up on Democrats, we beat up on Republicans too. It's about principle, and but I'm happy that the governor has decided to, well, not decided, but he is stuck with his insurance exchanges, and he's done some good things. He's trying to fight Common Core as well, and.
Well, we talked to Bill Armistead last week about, telling the difference of who's a real Republican and who's a fake Republican. We hear a lot of that.
I'd like to know what is a Republican?
Yeah. Much less a real or a fake one, right? Well, I think, you probably can guess, but maybe can't tell. But I don't know. It seems to me that those people that change their mind one day from being a Democrat to Republican, there may be a little questioning that. People that are in the Tea Party, though, most of them have had these ideals for a long, long time. As I say, we in Alabama were Tea Party before Tea Party was cool. But I thank you for all that you do, and
thank you.
And you've really given a voice that makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. And keep up the good work.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on, and I wish you the best success in this new endeavor.
Well, thank you so much. We are the V. We'll be right back with the V team. Thank you, Becky, for being with us. And stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Here's what customers are saying about WeatherGuard Lifetime Metal Roofing.
It has reduced our electric bill. I can't remember how much. He pays all the bills, but it's lower.
They clean up as they go. There was no mess.
Hello, I'm Robert Wells, president of WeatherGuard. We are a family-owned business, and we will back our lifetime warranty for generations to come.
Come by our showroom on Alton Road in Birmingham. WeatherGuard Lifetime Metal Roofing, 533-7322.
Hey, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today.
I teach. I touch the future. I am AEA.
I keep the school clean every day for your children. I am AEA.
Congratulations on your scholarship. I help children make choices for college and careers. I am AEA.
We are AEA.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Down in Mobile, things have heated up in the congressional race to replace Joe Bonner. Bibles flying, words flying, and accusations everywhere from Bradley Byrne and Dean Young. What do you make of all the things going on down in Baldwin County?
Well, it's in the whole congressional district. Yes, Baldwin County, Mobile, Clark, Washington, all over. And the national media is very focused on this, as well as the citizens in Alabama down there. And boy, you're right, it's gotten very hard hitting and attacking from Bradley Byrne, former senator. And obviously, Dean Young and his family have taken the kinder, gentler high road to do the positive ads, but I guess that's their approach for right now. But there's certainly enough ammunition there for Dean Young to come after Bradley Byrne if he so chooses from. All he's got to do is go back to the 2010 gubernatorial race.
You know, a few weeks ago, Politico did an article on this race and called it sort of the perfect storm for determining the identity of the Republican Party in Alabama, but across the nation as well. And unfortunately, I think what we're seeing really is it's devolving into plain old Alabama politics, where who's the most Christian and who holds the Bible the highest. That's right.
Well, I say in Alabama, we love three things. We love God, we love football, and we love politics. Not always necessarily in that order. The only thing I haven't heard fly down there is the football. But Byrne, what do you think?
And that did happen in the governor's race in 2010.
When you look at it, it's a mess. And to me, it didn't have to be this way. And it's unfortunate. I think Dean Young took sort of the low road, unfortunately. I thought he had a lot of promise coming out of a lot of promise and momentum coming out of the initial primary, going into the runoff. And it seemed like he just sort of sat on his cards for a week or two, and then this is what he came up with, was Bradley Byrne's not Christian enough. 15 years ago he was a Democrat and these types of things. And I mean, if that's all he's got, if you can't sell that district on ideas, you've got the Delta issue down there, you've got coastal insurance reform, you've got a lot of issues down there he could be hitting on. And if the best you have is he doesn't go to the same kind of church I do, you're in bad shape.
We can be talking about Obamacare, things in the deficit, those type of issues that people are concerned about down in District 1 and all across the state of Alabama. I mean, it is disappointing. It's gotten very negative and very nasty.
Well, I think Shalana's right, and the national media is going to play it up because it is Alabama. But I do think we see what is, the far right and what is right, the establishment right, and where does that leave us? I mean, Becky Gerritson certainly is proof that there is a middle way or another way that people are looking for outside of the traditional Republicans.
And I think that you hit the nail on the head. I think that's exactly what the national congressional committees, both Democrat and Republican, and why the national media is looking at this. They know that you can't go so far to the left, so far to the right. There's that happy medium, which I think that's what the average person now is looking for.
Well, we're certainly a center-right state, but this is not a center-right campaign by any imagination.
No, and it's only in Alabama where you can call a Tea Party group the center-right, or the middle road, frankly.
Well, but you certainly see in that area down there the influence of the Rick Santorum versus Mitt Romney race that we had in the last presidential election. And speaking of Rick Santorum, I noticed on reviewing the campaign finance reports this past week that one of the big backers for Rick Santorum in his presidential bid has put a bunch of campaign cash into our governor's race.
Oh yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah, I hear, and also in the PAC. The PAC has also given a lot to our Attorney General as well, our two top elected officials in the state of Alabama.
So it's $100,000 to Governor Bentley, and how much to Luke?
It was $100,000 from Bill Dorey personally, who is a resident of Louisiana. He owns an energy company down there. He put $100,000 into Governor Bentley's campaign this past month, and then Luther Strange took $50,000 from a fund called the Red, White, and Blue Fund, which was known as Rick Santorum's Super PAC.
Now, Rick Santorum plays very well in Alabama,
yes.
doesn't he?
He does. He won the primary in Alabama, and at a time when everybody thought the primary season was pretty much over, Rick sort of pushed back and picked that off. He's a social conservative. He's sort of a middle road guy if you look at his voting history. He's not a real far right guy outside of social issues.
Well, he's from Pennsylvania. He had to be.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but I'm saying I think that plays well in Alabama. I think that's wwhere we're going. In the next few years in Alabama as primary season comes around.
And that's the other thing. This is not uncommon because I remember back in 2007 and then 2010, it's not abnormal for these presidential candidates to come into our states now that we are a state and we're a player and give money to the governor, the attorney general, your leadership in the House and Senate and that sort of thing. And so it makes sense that Dorr would give straight to the governor and that his PAC would give to the attorney general because, as we know, they've always called attorney generals, AGs, aspiring governors. That's always been the little acronym for attorney generals.
Well, and Santorum, you're right, does have a lot of things that voters in Alabama look for. I think Dorey coming in, he seems like this is really something new for him, giving these kind of big dollars, but he seems to really love Rick Santorum, and a lot of people in Alabama feel strongly about him as well. So.
But that's exciting to see somebody for the first time. If you go back and look at their politics and campaign contributions, I think that's what we enjoy seeing is people really engaging for the first time ever. It's not the same millionaires that have always contributed to national campaigns.
This is a multimillionaire though who pumped $2.5 million into the last presidential election, and now he's becoming active in Alabama with a $100,000 donation. I certainly am curious to see how that plays out.
We welcome him, I would say,
Yeah.
right?
Come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spoken like the political operatives that you are.
Well, listen, this has been a great show. We really appreciate everything you do at the V Team. We thank you so much for joining us each week. You can catch up with what we do every day at alreporter.com. We always want you to be here at the V, where we know that you might not be interested in politics, but politics is definitely interested in you. So come back next Sunday. We look forward to it. We are the V. Thank you so much.
The odds of becoming a successful NASCAR driver, 1 in 125 billion. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 88. I'm Jamie McMurray. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Here's what customers are saying about WeatherGuard Lifetime Metal Roofing.
Kind of makes the rest of the house stand out and pop in the front, and it's low maintenance to me.
I was extremely impressed with the facility that they have to display their product.
Hello, I'm Robert Wells, president of WeatherGuard. We are a family-owned business, and we will back our lifetime warranty for generations to come.
Come by our showroom on Alton Road in Birmingham. WeatherGuard Lifetime Metal Roofing, 533-7322.
Hey, Mom. I got the job. You've got the job. Welcome aboard.
I've got a job to do today.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Donate to Goodwill. Help provide job training in your community.
I make sure to get your kids to school and home safe every day. I am AEA.
I make sure your child receives a healthy meal each day. I am AEA.
Thank you, AEA, for protecting our public schools and our futures. We are AEA.
Here's what customers are saying about WeatherGuard Lifetime Metal Roofing.
It has reduced our electric bill. I can't remember how much. He pays all the bills, but it's lower.
They clean up as they go. There was no mess.
Hello, I'm Robert Wells, president of WeatherGuard. We are a family-owned business, and we will back our lifetime warranty for generations to come.
Come by our showroom on Alton Road in Birmingham. WeatherGuard Lifetime Metal Roofing, 533-7322.